Fantine was a young and beautiful girl living in a small town in France, searching for love and happiness like many young women of her age. One day, she met a charming and lively man named Aprian Tholomes, who captured her heart. They fell in love and spent days filled with joy and dreams of a bright future together. In Fantine's eyes, this love promised a life full of happiness. This dream soon turned into a nightmare. Fantine became pregnant and gave birth to a daughter named Cosette. But Tholomyès abandoned her. He disappeared without explanation, leaving Fantine alone with a newborn. Now, in the midst of despair and poverty, she had to take care of her daughter and rebuild her life. Determined to provide a future for Cosette, she traveled to a bigger city in search of work. Upon her arrival in Montreuil-sur-Mer, Fantine encountered a family called the Thenardiers. They owned an inn and seemed like a kind and caring couple at first. When they learned that Fantine was raising a child alone and seeking work, they offered to take his Cosette in, assuring her they would care for her like their own daughter, with a heavy heart but hopeful that Cosette would have a better life in their care. Fantine entrusted her daughter to them. Fantine then found work in a factory run by a man named Jean Valjean, who, under a new identity, was now the mayor of the town. Initially, her life seemed to stabilize, and she managed to send money to the Thenardiers every month to support Cosette. However, the Thenardiers, being deceitful individuals, continuously made false claims about Cosette's health, demanding more money from Fantine under the pretense of high medical costs. Despite her struggle, Fantine suffered greatly from the separation from her daughter, but continued to send money, fueled by her love for Cosette. Life took another turn for the worse when Fantine was unjustly accused and dismissed from her job. Rumors about her having an illegitimate child spread among her co-workers, leading the factory manager to fire her without a second thought. Losing her job meant losing her only source of income, and she could no longer send money to the Thenardiers. As Fantine plunged deeper into poverty and despair, she desperately sought other work opportunities. But no one was willing to hire a woman with a tarnished reputation. With mounting debts and constant demands from the Thenardiers, she was pushed toward increasingly desperate decisions. Initially, she decided to sell her beautiful long hair. Her golden locks, once admired, were now cut off and sold to a merchant. As she watched her hair fall, tears streamed down her face, mourning the loss of her beauty and identity. With the meager money she received, she managed to send a little to the Thenardiers, but her troubles only escalated. With time, and when the money from selling her hair ran out, Fantine had to resort to another tragic decision. In town, there were merchants who bought women's teeth for dental prosthetics. Fantine, having nothing else to sell, visited one of these merchants and sold 2 of her front teeth for a pitiful sum. These teeth, once a symbol of her beauty, became commodities for survival. After this sale, Fantine's situation became even more dire. She was not only broken inside, but also visibly diminished. Her smile, once filled with hope and youth, was now marred by the absence of her teeth. The money from this sale, however, was only a temporary solution. The Thenardiers continued to demand more money, leading Fantine to a point of utter hopelessness. Eventually, with nothing left to sell and her financial situation worsening, Fantine found herself with no other choice but to turn to the unthinkable: prostitution. At first, she resisted this decision, clinging to her dignity and humanity. But the constant pressure of financial despair and her relentless love for Cosette forced her to surrender. Now, Fantine was driven to the streets, exchanging her body for money from strangers, all in a desperate attempt to provide for her daughter. This phase of her life marked the pinnacle of her humiliation and the cruelty that society imposed upon her. Each encounter left her feeling degraded and worthless, yet the love for Cosette pushed her to continue. One night, Fantine got into a confrontation with a man who disrespected her. This incident drew the attention of Inspector Javert, a lawman known for his rigid adherence to the law and lack of compassion for the less fortunate. He intended to arrest her without considering her circumstances. Fantine, weakened and ill, could no longer defend herself against the cruelty of Javert. Just then, Jean Valjean, who had learned about Fantine's plight, intervened. Filled with guilt and a sense of responsibility, he ordered Javert to release Fantine and took her to a hospital. Valjean recognized that she was a victim of a harsh and unjust society, and he felt compelled to help her. Despite Valjean's efforts, Fantine was gravely ill and unable to recover from the toll that poverty and hardship had taken on her. In her final moments, she clung to one last wish: to see her daughter Cosette safe and free from the clutches of the Thenardiers. With tears in her eyes, She implored Valjean to rescue her daughter. As she lay there, her heart was filled with love and concern for Cosette, and she took her last breath with that hope. Fantine's death was a tragic end for a woman who had fallen from the heights of love and hope to the depths of poverty and despair. Yet, her love for Cosette remained, inspiring Valjean to promise that he would find and save her daughter from that hell. While Fantine's death was painful, it served as a turning point in the story, illustrating how a ruthless and unjust society could destroy a life. Nevertheless, her enduring love for Cosette continued to resonate, and it paved the way for Valjean's mission to rescue her and restore hope.